Hi there, I'm Evan.
And I'm Mark.
And what do we do today, Mark?
In this week's episode, I talked for a long time. Evan didn't find it interesting, but wait, he then dropped so much knowledge.
We end in a fury. All right, Salt and Brew podcast.
Something
We're
to
going.
Proof podcast. Yeah, I was a few minutes late for the recording. And when I came online, Evan was listening to a song called It's Raining Tacos.
Yeah, it's a good song. That's my go-to right now.
Is it really?
Yeah. At 1.25.
It's raining tacos.
It's a good song. Go look
Something
it up.
about like just open your mouth and close your eyes.
Yeah. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos.
Sometimes, dude, you really are like just the world's biggest kid. Like it's weird. You can't anticipate what parts you just like turn into an 8-year-old boy and what parts you take everything way super seriously.
Super seriously. It's always the appropriate amount of serious and fun.
Period. Anyway, season 4, we're talking about the build. I've said this and I feel like it, that I've spent a long time flirting with greatness. That all I do is that I'm full of potential, that I flirt with greatness, but I never get anything far enough or across the finish line or big enough or see things through enough or go to whatever that next step is in order to be able to hit milestones that make me really, really proud. I said this to you last Thursday in our mastermind thing, and your response was, yep.
Okay.
like, yep, that describes you, Mark.
Okay, great.
So I've spent the last bunch of years trying to future-proof my ideas and plans to so that way we will grow in to this thing that it's going to be. And I think that hurt me and wasted a lot of time rather than the last few weeks or months even, where it's like, this is what we have. Now, how do we make the most of what we have? That is a very, very big shift for how I've thought for probably the last 8 years, right? Because I've spent a long time, back when we started, we would not hire someone until it was 6 months or 8 months of insanity. And then it was enough time to prove to me that it wasn't the revenue wasn't a blip, that the busyness wasn't a blip. It wasn't just a blip and I was going to hire someone and have to fire them. So we'd wait like really long times of long periods of insanity before I'd hire the next person, just to prove to myself that we were busy enough. And then I hit this point in, I think it was 2011 or 12, where I remember saying to the team, okay, we're $1 million company, but we're going to start operating as if we're a $1.8 million company, because that was our revenue, our next revenue target. And so we're not going to wait until we hit 1.8 million to have enough staff for 1.8 million. We're going to start hiring in advance. We're going to start making plans in advance. We're going to start thinking like the type of company we want to be, so that way we will grow into it. And it never quite worked for me. Like it just never, I didn't do it well. It never quite worked for me. And so I've spent the last year or two thinking about how things should work at scale and how things will be and how, everything will happen. And now I'm not doing that. Now it's just like, what do we have? What do we have to do? What do we have in front of us? Who do we have, on the team? How are we going to make this work? And we're focused on right now. That feels different to me.
Great. I mean, I like it. I think the difference, though, is that you didn't feel like you were being productive when you were just thinking about the future and what we were going to build. And now you feel like you're doing work that is productive.
Do you remember, I'm sure you don't, but you may. Do you remember the conversation we had when I confessed to you that I wanted to be extraordinary? Do you remember? Like, I remember where I was sitting. I remember where I was sitting. I remember the phone call we had. I remember the time of day, 4 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. We were partnered up and you called me. But do you remember the conversation at all or no?
No, not really.
No, not in as much detail as me?
No, maybe not at all. Maybe a little bit. I think I was in my old condo, but...
No, you were in your office because you called me from the VoIP phone or whatever. And the reason you did 4 p.m. on Thursdays is because right after that call, you'd play Exploding Kittens and people would come over and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Killer Bunnies.
Killer Bunnies. That's right.
Yeah.
Killer Bunnies.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was at a point in my business where, what year would that have been, dude? You released the book in 16 or you wrote it in 16, 15, 14?
No idea.
I'm going to say 2014. I hit the point in my business where I was no longer responsible for billable hours. Like I was transitioning from someone who did work. So like I was transitioning from doing work for the clients that was billable and that I could see made a difference for them. And I was transitioning into a leader or running a team or a vision or the company. And I was pulling myself out of the daily work into building the company and the systems. And I don't think I ever did that well. But the reason why I was struggling at the time was because of the very thing that I've probably been struggling with for the last few years, which is I felt that I contributed more when I was doing client work, when I was in the daily grind, when I was doing billable hours.
Okay.
And I spent a few months thinking about it and worrying about it and trying to get to this transition. And I remember telling you that I had this deep desire to just be extraordinary, to do extraordinary work, to run an extraordinary company, have an extraordinary team, faith, wife, family, father, kids, all of that stuff.
Oh, faith. I thought you said fake life. Okay.
Faith. But
fake life.
but that questioning came from when I moved from someone who did the work and touched it and had a sense of ownership over it and felt that they were doing a good job at it, to giving that over to other people and relinquishing control. And honestly, if that was in 2014, let's say, to now, I probably haven't done a good job of building Phanta or running Phanta or being a leader or attacking the CEO role, the owner role, as much as I would attack you wanting me to write you a landing page or something like that. And so getting back into this stuff feels good because it reminds me of the things that I like, that I'm good at. But now that I'm talking this out, when I step out of it again, as we build and scale the company, I think I need to understand or realize or figure out a way to hold on to this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, finding meaning in the work that you're doing is important. Way back when, I forget when we said, well, what are you good at? Well, you want to mentor people, you want to set strategy, and you want to sell. And set strategy being like work with clients on their, I forget your first session, whatever you call it.
Brand strategy.
Mm-hmm. You want to do brand strategy, you want to sell, and you want to mentor. And that's what you want to do. So you just weren't doing enough of that, or you just don't like those things when you were CEO. Those will likely all be more important than you actually writing copy or you adjusting pixels and pushing stuff around that make you feel good because you chopped the wood, but maybe you shouldn't be chopping the wood, right? The bigger version of Phanta is not you being the lumberjack. So it's figuring out inside of what you like, how to actually still feel productive. And either you like those three things and you just weren't doing enough of them, or you don't actually like those three things and you should be doing something else.
I do like them. I like them still.
Yeah, but how much were you actually doing? Like how much, if those three things, how much brand strategy were you actually doing?
Not much right now.
Well, not right now, but like when you were CEO, when you took off the operations hat and the in the day-to-day, but you were doing CEO, I'm not billable anymore. You still weren't doing that much brand strategy. It's like when it happens with a client in the phase of production at the very beginning, great, but you weren't onboarding so many new clients that's happening every other day that you're doing brand strategy.
Yeah, at our peak, I think we did 5, like, because they're pretty major. They typically take 2 or 3 months, but they're pretty major endeavors. Is that the word? Projects?
Sure, but you felt great. You felt you could
5 in a year is kind of the max we've done.
You can put your hand on your shoulder and say, "Good job. I feel good. I crushed it. I'm amazing." Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's only 5 a year. So then how much time are you spent selling? Not enough, and not enough of doing, maybe you like the conversations, but not the appointment setting or whatever, but not enough to feel good about yourself. And mentorship, I don't know. I don't know how much mentorship you did. That's like nothing. So I don't know what you're doing all day. You're doing other stuff, but that's the problem is you go home at the end of the day and it's like, so basically, unless it was brand strategy or a sale came to you, you felt like you didn't contribute anything.
There was a whole bunch of years ago, we did this work for a really amazing creative agency. And we agreed that we would do the video work for them and they would create a brochure for us for free. We would do exchange. And so I'm working with this really great creative agency, super creative people, and they kept pulling me in all of these directions that just didn't feel right. But they're these like amazing people who do like the best work. Who am I to tell them that I don't like something or that it doesn't feel right or it's not right? And so I remember at one point, the owner of the agency, we had a conversation and he said, Mark, like, we're trying to help you out. This is your brand, right? Like, if you don't like something, we'll change it or we'll do it. And so we got it kind of done. And we hit a point where I told them what I wanted them to do, even though they didn't agree with it. But it felt like I was reclaiming ownership over something that I had lost control of, that I'd given control over to. And so even though I may have been making the wrong choice from their perspective, or I wasn't doing the stylish thing or the classy thing or the thing that they would do, it felt good to take control again and say, no, this is representing me. This is my thing. And I want it to be this way, and I'm going to do that. I so rarely do that because it feels selfish and crazy and whatnot. And so when it comes to the systems and when it comes to the people and the process and how things work and how they should work and what's happening with clients and whatnot, I think it's similar. I think the last few weeks, I have proactively decided to take more control over a bunch of things.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Yes, we get, yes. We already know that. You already talked about that. You're reclaiming control. Great. But when you build and grow, what does the new CEO role look like for you?
Well,
that's not chopping the wood.
Well, so this is the like, okay, so if season 4 is about the build, yeah, I want to be ready. I want to be the type of person who can move on to what's next and not, otherwise I might as well just run this, like you've talked about, this special ops, this really small special ops team. I don't know. You can help me with that over this season. Can you not?
Sure. But let's start right now.
Okay, let's start right now.
You need to feel like the work you're doing is meaningful. It matters. It contributes. It's a good use of your time, and it's being productive. You're getting that feeling from doing work that is beneath you, but required right now.
And something I do really, really well, I might add.
Sure.
So it makes me feel good.
Awesome.
Because all this other stuff I bump up against I'm not good at, makes me feel like garbage. I can come home to this stuff, this like comfort zone that I'm really good at.
Great. So you can start a landscaping business and cut people's grass really well. Awesome. Like at some point you got to do something difficult. The name of your other podcast is
We Do Hard Things.
Awesome. You're chopping the wood, you're cutting the grass, you're doing the work, it's required, you're going to do a good job, you're going to crush it for your clients, but that's not a CEO. So if you want to grow, what is Mark the CEO? What is he doing? Because before we said brand strategy, selling, and mentorship. And that was super clear. We talked about it multiple times, but it didn't happen. So did it not happen because you didn't enjoy it, or you didn't enjoy pieces of it, or you need to be doing something else? Like when you hire somebody, when you build your business, this phase is great. And then your next hire is going to be somebody to replace you in one of your roles.
For copy, yep.
Great. So the next hire is a copywriter, and that pulls you out of the job. And maybe you're reviewing some work or whatever, but you're not going to be doing the day-to-day. So now you got to decide, okay, who is hiring the copywriter? Is this going to be...
But see, this is the problem. You and I have had these conversations many, many times. And this is what draws your present focus. So you can think about the future and have a plan for the future and snap back to the present. I'm future focused. So these conversations lead me off to the future and I never come back to the present. I never come back to today. And what I'm trying to do right now is say, great. So our copywriter...
Your right now is fine. Your right now is fixed. Your right now is Mark's right. the lumberjack.
But this is what I'm saying, step after step, the grind, the hustle, so next step is we replace copy. And then now I spend all my time training that person on copy and making the team work.
Okay, no. But before that, hold on. Who's hiring the copy person?
Louis.
Okay, but this is a step, because like, are you building the culture around Louis, or are you building the ninja culture around Mark? Because the kind of people, Louis can work with lots of people. Mark can work with a sliver of people.
We have learned that, yes.
So are you hiring the people that may not be awesome culture fits, but like can handle working with Mark? Ergo, Mark is doing the hiring, or is Louis doing the hiring and Mark's going to step out and come back to being the guy who comes in every now and then and comes from above?
So this is what's interesting. So we're doing Louis will be hiring the person. The team will be so. But what I've taken a lot more of an active role in and control over, it'll be halfway in the middle. Ultimately, Louis people, Louis culture, heart, hustle, all of that stuff, not a bunch of a-holes like me. But the clarity I'm providing him in terms of what the role is expected to do, the attention to detail we require, we're building out a thinking process that I follow that we can train people as a baseline for, and then they can change from. I'm taking much more of an active role in all of that stuff. So rather than just say, hey guys, I want it to be, I imagine this, figure out how to get there. I go, I imagine this. I'm going to create the first version of this. You're going to find someone who you believe can work with it. And then I'm going to work with you to migrate what I think over to what works for you.
So when we build Mark to 20 people in the company, what is Mark doing?
Back to 20 people in the company. Sales. Anything, I don't know what the word would be. Anything within operations or the operations of the company itself that, like from a vision point of view, how things need to work. Not how a document is posted or a naming convention of something or this or that, but just structurally how the machine is supposed to work from a vision point of view. Me, marketing, sales, brand building, that. And then 20 people we would have already hired, because we were 23 people last year, but at 20 people we will have hired a replacement on the account management side. So I most likely won't even be dealing on the daily with clients anymore.
So you need to create something that's actually going to be fun and set you up for success. Because 23 people, you've been there, wasn't fun, and you weren't feeling productive. It's not that you were showing up to work and not working. You were working. You're doing something every day. But you just weren't feeling productive. It wasn't feeling good for you.
Yeah, the old system, even at 23 people, I was still wearing 5 hats. And because I built the company, the original company I built off of offloading at the bottom and then working my way out of all of these roles all the way up. I could never find a fit to help me on the leadership side to replace everything I was doing. So despite the fact that I had 23 staff, I was still a major bottleneck and a lot of decisions were still going through me. We're with this new version of what we're building. We're trying to build a no crisis business. Louis said the other day that it seems like we're trying to engineer into the business model our happiness. And I was like, that's like a really funny thing to say or to do. But yeah, basically we're trying to engineer a business model and an approach and a culture and people that eliminates some of the really, really big pain points we have in our old business model.
Okay.
I don't know how to do this podcast where it's not just me having mental breakdowns all the time and you helping me through it.
Well, you do hard things. You figure it out.
I do.
I like it.
Evan's always said that if he looks at something to prove in his calendar and goes, that it's done, I may have just killed the whole podcast.
Oh, wow. Wow. There you go.
Because next week you're going to be like, is Mark going to want to do one of these other
Mark shows up late.
topics?
Doesn't bring us anything to talk about.
Well, I brought you stuff to talk about. I've talked for 36 minutes straight. You haven't grabbed anything and run with it. I haven't given you anything juicy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, along the way up, you still just got to think about, brand strategy, you're always going to crush at. Sales is still a giant question mark for me. As much as you say you like doing sales, like just the number of times to say go get sales, there's always a reason. I don't know if it plays out.
I do like sales. I do like sales. I need an EA. That I know.
I think you need somebody to book. I think the sales you like is not the outreach. Sales you like is like once somebody's already come in and qualified and wants to talk, then you'll talk to them. But that's almost brand strategy.
No. Well, there's a lot of overlap with that, yes, but no, it's all the administrative stuff that I find a major chore. Like, like Bo is a perfect example, right? Most of what Bo does is actually, your Bo who helps with the podcast and scheduling and stuff. It's a mix of a fantastic art of reaching out to people, but it's mostly a lot of administrative stuff, right? Building out a list of the people that we want to target, in my mind, is more administrative than it is science or art. And sending out the notes and emailing the people and then booking the thing and then making sure that it's in the calendar and then having the pre-set up and then having the follow-up. That's all the stuff that I hate, right? Like, if
you need a salesperson, you need someone to do that. You need a junior salesperson who's going to do all that crap and then do the follow-up. And you come in to do the stuff you like, which is going to be the brand. It's basically brand strategy, just early stage brand strategy. It's all it is. You're painting a picture for what they could become and where they could go and how you can help and all the ideas. And you're giving them basically a taste of brand strategy that makes them want to sign up so you can do your 2-month process or whatever it's going to take that to do brand. Like you don't want to do sales. You want to do brand strategy. And that's the first step of brand strategy. So you need to hire someone to help you do that. Maybe not now because you're too much in the operations, but having Mark be in charge of sales means nothing happens.
So in terms of the marketing agency, Phanta, for everyone listening, we help businesses with lead generation and we help them grow by bringing in more sales. So this is why it's always funny to me that Evan's like, you need a salesperson. But what we do is we help business owners figure out what the problems are and connect with audiences and all of that stuff. So in our team, we need, we have designers, right? We need to replace our designer. That is actually the next step because we had someone with us for 8 years who left in the summer. And then I am taking care of all the copywriting, all the writing that we do. And it certainly is taking a toll, but on my calendar and my schedule, but it feels good.
Yeah.
So we're going to rehire that person next. Then we're going to bring on a campaign manager to help run and do all the campaigns. And as I grow myself out of these roles that I've been doing now, focus more and more on the systems and the processes and the people to make sure that the machine works. And then an account manager who will help with sales and so on. So like the path seems really clear to me. Yes.
But an account manager has to be doing new outreach, not just managing current accounts.
No,
you need someone to do new outreach.
Will happen as well.
Okay.
So outreach and all of the administrative side of the sales process is someone like, if I can call them an EA, I can call them a junior salesperson. We can call them whatever we want. But, like writing contracts isn't something I enjoy doing. I don't know if anyone does. I don't. Writing contracts, writing project summary handoff forms so that way I can brief the team on what we're doing.
But not just
chasing
that,
people and
outreach,
setting up.
The first outreach, the finding the people, doing the outreach, booking the call with the legend, Mark Drager. Like you need someone to do that.
The legend, yes.
Not just the closing afterwards and that could even be somebody else or the same person, whatever, writing the contracts and all that stuff and the follow-ups and whether that's the project manager or the same person, but it's the outreach. It's the first point of contact. It's getting people interested in Phanta to want to talk to Mark Drager for a mind-blowing session. That's what you need. You need to have that person. So when you say I'm in charge of sales, that better not be a part of your responsibility because that's not going to happen. You're just not going to do it. You're always going to default to something easier, more fun, and not do the outreach.
I agree.
Perfect. So Mark's in charge of sales, but there's somebody doing sales.
Yes. and
door opening or whatever.
Go back to how I started the company.
But that's not an EA. EA isn't doing door opening.
No, it might be an EA and a salesperson certainly, and an account manager on top of that. Like when you say, hey, what are you going to be at 20 or 23 people? Like at that point, we're running 3 different teams of 5 people based on our structure. And so the additional 5, 6, 7 people are support people. So pulling myself out of account management.
Okay. So what else are you going to do then? I mean, I think this is one of the biggest problems of what was in the last iteration is sales relied on you. And you didn't want to do that early stage stuff.
Hold on. I had a salesperson who was with me from like 2009 to 2016.
Who dramatically helped, who I was against hiring in the first place.
Yes.
Who then dramatically scaled your business in the first couple of years of him being there.
In the first 2 or 3 years, yes. And then, I mean, listen, when the year that I let him go, our sales went up by 80%. I was terrified to let a salesperson go because I thought if they're not there, we're never going to get any sales. But
it was a good hire, and Louis will hire better this time around.
Yes, I agree.
Perfect. So, but you need that, like what was wrong with Phanta from 6 months ago? This is one of the big things that, like, Mark cannot be in charge of this. So, and will lead to you're not happy too when I'm pounding on you to say, send in 50 emails. I'm canceling the podcast. So you should send in 50 emails, get on the call, do something, get clients, go. Right. Like, so that's got to be taken off. So you're going to be doing brand strategy and then early stage brand strategy, which is basically a sales call. You're not in charge of sales. You're in charge of brand strategy and early stage and pre-brand strategy. That's really what it is. Closing, not sales. You're in charge of closing and brand strategy. That's what you want to do.
And,
right. But that's not enough, right?
Like monthly reporting. And depending on how big we are, I mean, if again, I want to focus on the next year because I do have a habit of focusing.
What do you want to do with the team though? Do you want to be a mentor for the team? That was on your list, but you really didn't do anything on it.
Yeah, so here's a great example. So someone on the team asked me to write a video script. And so I pushed back and I was like, I don't need to be writing this video script. This is certainly something that you can do. It's within your responsibilities. You've done it in the past. You've done a great job. You know what you're doing. You're close to the project. And then it came back where it's just like, they just don't have time. They're at capacity. It was due, there's a 2-day window. It had to be done. So I said, okay, no problem. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Louis was like, Mark, you want me to take care of it? And so I started to walk him through my process and it became clear to us that I could have him take care of it. But even as an experiment, I would probably throw out what he did. So instead, what I did was I spent half an hour walking him through my thinking and my process and how I'd approach it. And then I said, hey, I'm about to write this tomorrow morning. Why don't we just set up a live screen share and I'm going to do my work and you can ask me questions along the way, but just shadow how I do it and why I do it and what I do. And at the end of it, I was like, this is a really good session because I actually love teaching people what I think works and getting their feedback even and sharing my process or how I do it or what have you. We haven't ever done we haven't done this. I haven't done this in years. So when I used to bring on an editor, I would sit down with that editor and I would spend a lot of time teaching them what I've learned along the way. And then I stopped doing that in the hopes that other people would be doing it and they don't. So yeah, I mean, the mentorship side of things in the next little bit, for each of our roles, we are creating the Phanta approach, the Phanta process. Like, what does it mean to PHA something? Where do we go? What brands could we look at? What thinking do we do? And so I've spent a few years, it feels like, asking other people to do it or assuming that they would do it, and they haven't. And so I think it still comes back to me. So this reclaiming ownership and responsibility is to say, whether it's the Mark Special Ops copywriter or it's the Louis Heart and Hustle copywriter, either way, they benefit from knowing what I know and approaching it the way I approach it as a benchmark. And then we can tweak it and learn from there if we find it's not working.
I would look at mentorship in two ways. One is skill set and training and developing, like, hey, I'm going to give you knowledge on how to do your job based on what I've done, versus life mentorship. Helping people.
So
the problems
on the skill set side, I'm actually very good at that, but have not done it, and I should. And on the life side, I think I'm good at problem solving and encouraging, but I don't know if I'm actually, like, I've been around you for a long time. You're very, very good at it. And Louis is very good at it. I think if you come to me with a problem, I'm going to help you. I think if you need a pickup, I'm going to encourage you. But I don't know if I'm actually good at that yet.
What you're good at versus what you're going to love doing and want to get better at might be two different things. I wouldn't say you're bad at it, but I think you are going to massively struggle with patience for people who can't keep up with your pace of training and thinking. If the requirement is they have to learn the skills from you, I think you're going to get, it's going to test your frustration.
They don't have to learn the skills from me. I am let's use a different example that's not me. Our third hire from now is going to be a campaign manager. As much as I know high level about things, Alex has a lot more really specific, detailed knowledge.
Okay, so what are you going to do for that person?
Exactly. I'm not going to ask Alex to teach that person. Alex is the blueprint that we photocopy to build the system, the 10-day learning, the process.
So what are you going to do for that person?
For the person that we hire?
Yeah,
campaign manager. In advance to that, hiring that person, Alex, Louis, and myself will work through systematizing the role, clearly defining the expectations. Alex is going to be the knowledge expert because I don't know what he knows. Louis is going to be the one who can actually make this be communicated, to be accepted, to be understood by people who maybe are more visual or maybe more audible or maybe more this or that, and make sure people get it.
What are you going to do ongoing?
And I'm going to be there to make sure. That's a different question.
No, that's the only question. I don't care what you do in a one-off when you're hiring somebody. Mentorship. What are you doing on mentorship is not a one-off. Let me put something on a piece of paper so that Alex and Louis get it. That's not mentorship.
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
I probably won't be mentoring the team.
So you're not going to you don't want to mentor the campaign manager?
No. Probably not. What I'm taking ownership over is making sure that the onboarding and the training and the mentoring system is built the way that I needed to build into the model. Again, Alex's knowledge, Louis is the one who will be doing the mentorship and running with it and having all the heart and stuff. But what has been missing in the past is my black and white, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, like the dictator. While everybody's busy collaborating, they need a leader to be able to say, like, this is how this plugs into the business model as a whole. I'm not going to be the one who decides the best way to do this training. I'm not going to do the check-ins. I'm not going to measure progress or anything like that. But I'm there to make sure that they build this out and that what they build out outputs the type of person that I feel we need for the business to work.
So when you said before that you like mentorship, what does that mean?
Well, as I said, like, I think as I was breaking it down, like, I like mentorship from a skill point of view. You know, when anyone asks, like when my son wanted to learn how to use our compressor so he could fill up the tires on his bike, I spent 20 minutes explaining to him, you know, what is a compressor and how does it work and what's the safety and this and that, and like just going through everything. Like I love teaching people about those types of things when they have an interest and using analogies and trying to explain things to them. You know, you broke mentorship into skills versus life. I actually think when I say I like mentorship, I actually think it's much more skill development. Like that's something that I enjoy sharing with them. Do I like checking up on their work? No. Do I like following up with them? No. Do I like having to do it a second or third time because they didn't get it? No. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm as good at mentorship as I used to think I was, nor in the future may I be doing it. But is that a decision we have to make now?
It's creating the plan to set you up for success because the last one didn't. Mm-hmm. So we've already figured out.
We only learned that when we tried it, right? So
sure. But we are smarter now, so we can create a better plan. I love I think brand strategy is still great, and the pre-brand strategy is awesome, not sales. And what was the other one? You had three? The mentorship we're going to touch on. What was the other one? Oh, sales. Brand strategy, sales. So we figured that out. Like, you can't be selling. Somebody else is selling. You're doing pre-brand strategy and brand strategy. Great. The mentorship, I actually think I think if you can get out of the results of what they're doing, you could be a great mentor. Meaning, as soon as you start to judge somebody as to like their work performance, as soon as it becomes a performance review and what they're doing, it's over. Like, you're just going to get too frustrated. You don't want to talk about this stuff. Like, the people who came to the Thought Leadership Academy, who then, fawned over you and all the great feedback you gave them and encouragement and support, but then you're not responsible for any of their ongoing delivery and then following up, right? Mm-hmm. Pushing your nose for a reason. It was just itchy. Okay.
No, itchy.
I think you would actually be great at that. I think as soon as it becomes about their performance, I think that's when you start to lose.
Well, that's why I was saying, if someone comes to me with a problem, so Bo, Hawkins raved about me because I felt really bad actually about it. I happened to overhear him confessing to you or to someone else a problem. And I said, well, why don't you just do yada, 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 try this and try that. And this is what I would do. And so that's problem solving.
Yeah.
It's not mentorship. It's problem solving.
No, but that's not true. No. Of course it's mentorship. Like, you're helping.
Okay, well, hold on. And then on the other side of it, it's painting a picture of what's possible. Like, I Thought Leadership Academy, a big part of it is encouraging people to say, like, just imagine what it's going to feel like when you have been able to hit this or this or this. Like,
that's needed, dude. That's needed. Like, inside a company, for people to know that what they're doing is important and what they could become and where this could go. They get lost. People aren't thinking about the big picture when they're down in the muck. Like, I was on the call with Menko, the guy, esport athlete I invested in. He's like, every time I get off with you, like, it makes so much sense and it's so clear what we're doing. And yeah, I didn't see how that all tied into this bigger picture, right? That's what you do. You're great at that stuff. You can be encouraging. You can paint a bigger picture. And that's what people need to see, to feel like they're doing something and a part of something that matters, is not just doing graphic design again on another client project. I think you could be great at that. But as soon as it dives into, did you get this done for this client? You're pissed. They're pissed. You're never satisfied. Like, it's just a total disaster. I think the skill transfer will be super rough unless you get like the perfect person.
No, but I'm sorry. So I'm not skill transferring to that person. I'm filtering through Louis. So the reason why Louis joined me for an hour yesterday to shadow me as I was approaching the script writing process, and I showed him, here's the order of the research I do, and here's what I look at, and here's what I'm looking for, and here's what I'm thinking, and here's how I work, and this and that. I gave it to him, but I don't expect him to create a process whereby someone follows the exact same steps I follow in the speed I follow or the time I follow. He's shadowing me, and I'm giving it to him because then he is going to figure out, or we are going to build together a system that allows people like him to be able to do what I'm doing.
So who's going to review the work? Like, you're going to review the work and then give feedback through Louis to the person? You hire a copywriter, great. You spend your 1 hour with Louis or whatever to set the expectations, and great. Now you've got this template. Great. They're going to go off and make something. It's not going to be anywhere close to what you wanted. So it's the ongoing feedback. So then what? That person goes to Louis and Louis comes to you to say, Mark, what do you think? And then it filters through Louis each time?
I'm not sure yet. No, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that situation though, because the people who it worked well with were the people who were special ops close to me and could work with me, and it worked. And the people who weren't special ops or close to me were crushed by my feedback. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that yet.
Well, and Louis could be the filter between you. But
this is why it's the build, because we don't have all the answers yet, right? Season 4. Yeah.
It's like, I love going, and let's build a plan while we're going. So that's happening in your next hire. You're going to hire, well, you got your graphic designer. That may still happen with the graphic designer.
No, we're going to bump up with the graphic designer, because there's no one within the organization who
can teach it,
has as much design skill as I have.
Right.
So
even if they have the skill, they may not think of it the same way that you think of it. The new designer coming on doesn't understand the kind of process.
So there's process.
Nobody can explain it properly.
Sensibility.
But that's 3 to 6 months of ongoing training to review work and get feedback and say, no, that's wrong, and do it like this. And you could be harsh and critical,
so
to Louis.
My vision was to, so for each one of these roles, because they are standardized roles, I want to build out a 10-day onboarding you know, you talked about Disney school, right? Like Disney, you know,
It's
struggled
still
to find
ongoing
people.
though. Great. Like awesome. 1 week, 10 days. What's
That's
the
what I'm
ongoing
saying.
afterwards?
I don't know.
Well, there's only a limited amount of roles that you're going to have to do this for. Like if you're in charge of the skill transfer, I need to see, like campaign management is not Mark. He's got the high level, he understands it, but he's not the one doing any of the training or teaching. You need to have, it could just be you saying, okay, I'm going to tough it up. I'm going to, for copy, for graphic design, for video edits, for whatever else you need to get rid of, because it's not going to be brand strategy. You're going to own that. For sales and how we reach out to clients, like whatever the hats are that you need to offload, it may be that you say, okay, well, I just need to have, you either go with special ops and you train them and work with them and you love working with them because they can handle your bluntness and direct feedback, or you have to summon Mother Teresa-like patience for you to accept their mistakes, that they're going to ask a million questions. It's like that's part of building a team. So, or they have to find training somewhere else, like go to Skillshare and learn that. I don't know where they're going to get the training if it's not coming from you. I don't think you enjoy skill set transfer. I think you'd love to come in once and get it all done, but that's not what happens.
But that's my life for everything. For everything. I like to just show up.
Yeah, but that's why Skillshare transfer is not the thing that I think you excel at. Problem solving, yes, because it's a different problem every time. Somebody's coming in and have a problem at home with their husband or wife or whatever. I'm sure you can, if you can detach yourself from the work and like this person, if they're coming in, it's like, oh my God, this person has been so unproductive, is not answering email, doesn't take notes at meetings, doesn't you're already like super close-minded before you even bring up any kind of problem. Like, Mark, I feel stressed out at work. You know, it's like, you don't even want to talk to them. It's like, are you kidding me? You're such a waste of space. It's like, this is what's going on in your head. You may not say that out loud, but if you can,
I've said,
or you might say that out loud.
So years ago, a staff member came to me and said, you know, Mark, I have this twitch in my eye. And I realized that I only get it when I walk through the doors of the office. And that was it. That's what they said. And I said, I'm like, what do you want me to say to this? And so I reacted very negatively and very poorly to someone trying to tell me that they were stressed out at work, because my response was, is there a point to your story? We're all stressed. We're all working hard. We're all busy. What do you want me to do with this information? They didn't appreciate that.
Right. And that's more of a Louis question, and Louis can be the heart, but where you excel is in lateral thinking. Like Louis can maybe deliver a message better and can understand and get into their skin. You are the creative lateral thinker who can solve a problem that other people can't solve. And that's a great skill set to have. And also helping people envision a better future for themselves is something that you have that Louis is not as good at, that you can bring to the table. But skill set transfer is going to frustrate you and you will tap out unless the person is just super on point. So you need to have the Mother Teresa patience, or deal with Louis being a buffer and having multiple, like you won't solve it in 10 days and like out pops this perfect copywriter. It's going to be ongoing. But I think long-term skill set transfer is not the thing that you're going to love very much. I think you could be good at it with the right person, with the Navy SEALs person who's like picks it up and goes. I think that could actually be the best. I think you'll love it, but you have to find just the perfect person to fill that role, because otherwise, like one thing you're going to be, it's not like it is your kid. You know, that's going to be different. But I think life mentorship, I think you could crush it. And not just life, like, hey, bring your personal problems, but helping them see a bigger picture for themselves inside Phanta and what you're trying to build. If you can detach yourself from them and the work that they're doing, and it's not a performance review and they're already judged coming in, like this person is just a piece of garbage.
Well, I don't have any of the answers to that. So
Season 4, we build.
Out season 4.
We turn this episode into something. Hey, if you want to see the launch of season 4, check out the video right there next to us. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe. We'll see you there.